This is Pastor D, and
This is
what is in here?
you were looking at me as it's just starting, so I wasn't sure what was happening.
Well, of course I'm looking at you. You're leading the day's thing.
I didn't know I was doing the introduction.
Well, of course you're doing the introduction. I mean, you got to step up, lady. I mean, I carry the weight most of the time. It's time for you to step it up. But yes, I'm Pastor D.
Ashley.
Yeah, if we can actually get those words out. And this is episode 25 of the Practical Path podcast. Okay, so usually I do most of the talking, and we came up with a topic that my brilliant wife came up with, and that was a great idea. So she's gonna run the show. Go knock yourself out for all you. Aside from, we are gonna give thanks to God, the elders, and our church, as we normally do, because we love doing what we do. We love trying to talk to people about God and representing those that are unchurched, those that are lost, that are seeking.
As you can see, we're not at the church this week. We're at home because my husband agreed to let me stay in our warm house and not go out in this cold weather. So he spoke to me in my love language. Just kidding. Really, he did. I don't like being cold. But tonight we're gonna.
You're from Colorado.
It still doesn't mean I have to like the cold. So tonight we're gonna discuss the 5 love languages. So if you've not heard about this, these are, what's the word? These are
ways of relating to your
ways of showing and receiving your love from affection from your spouse.
Yeah.
And they say that everybody has a main love language that they show their love. And then they have one main one that shows that they receive. So that means their spouse is giving it to them, and that tells them that their spouse loves them beyond belief, and that's how they connect. We don't necessarily subscribe to that. We don't. So let me just tell you what the 5 love languages are, in case you don't know.
According to the Gospel of a book.
Yes. So words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. So the reason we got on this topic was we were just talking the other morning, and somehow this came up in our topic. I don't know why. But I said, if you're in a healthy relationship, your relationship should have all 5 of these qualities in some form throughout the entirety of your relationship. And not necessarily every day, but, pretty frequently, because all of this is, yes, ways that you can tell your spouse that you love them.
Yep.
And I think depending on where you are in your relationship and you as a person, one is used more prominent than the other ones just because of wherever you're at.
Yeah, that's usually the way it is.
Right. Or like who your personality is. So like you're very good with words. So to you, words of affirmation come very easily.
Being able to do them, yes.
Right, coming up with words and all the gushy globbly stuff.
Gobbledygook.
Comes to you much easier than it does me.
Yes.
So that doesn't mean I still don't tell. Would you stop messing with me?
I was just making sure that
it still doesn't mean I don't tell him how I feel about it.
How I actually hear it.
But, I use it in my own way. He uses it in his own way. For me, I do lean more. I like quality time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't expect, we're in the really part of our relationship where I know who he is. He knows where I am. And quality time looks different to both of us. I accept that. And I think I kind of try to do more quality time. Figure out, well, let's do this, even though you don't like it.
Yeah.
But that still doesn't mean I'm not doing any of the other stuff.
Well, yeah.
Or that I want the other stuff.
Right. Yeah. Totally agree.
So that's what I have.
That's what you have.
Okay.
You're supposed to be like the lead honcho here.
I did lead it.
Okay. Well, no, you let off. Okay. So here's my take on it. Okay. Like she said earlier, it's not that we subscribe to the term love language because, in all honesty, I don't I personally don't speak in terms, and most of the people that I associate with don't speak in terms of love language or energy or journey or, things along that line. We're just certain ideologies we just don't subscribe to, and those certain ideologies they do use those terms very often. The, Frankly, when it comes down to it, yes, there are five, and of what those ideologies would say would be a love language, but really it's just traits of how you relate to your person, your significant other, or spouse, wife, husband, take your pick, girlfriend, boyfriend, and what it comes down to is those traits are very important. And I mean, I'm just being real. When it comes down to it, there are certain things that I better doing than others. But he's not always receptive to every single one of them. Like, yes, I'm a writer, so I am pretty good with words of affirmation. And I love giving gifts. I am a fan. Not to say that, people that I'm trying to give a gift to are materialistic or that I'm materialistic, because frankly, I'm not. I don't buy a bunch of stuff on a whim. I did when I was younger, just to, family stuff on a nerd game stuff, but I don't do that anymore. I'm far removed from that. And so it's not a matter of being materialistic. I like seeing other people happy. And a lot of people do like receiving a little something. It doesn't make them materialistic, but they like that extra special thing that, someone they care about took the time to show how much they care about the receiving person. And that in turn makes me feel good. Maybe it's a bit of a maybe it's a bit of a seeing other people happy junkie, perhaps. But I do. I like seeing people happy. I don't like misery.
Well, they do say though, smile and happiness is contagious.
Yeah, yeah. Well, for me, that's a matter of not stress. You know, all of us that have jobs and everything, we're stressed, right? Life, making the world go round, stressed. So if I see a little something that I know would hit hard with someone, and I know for a fact been having a rough time, getting them a little gift, it doesn't matter how much it costs, but getting them a little gift, it says, hey, I was thinking about you. I cared about you enough to do this. I don't expect a bunch of gratitude. I don't care about that. What I care about is seeing that smile, that reaction on the face. That's what I care about. Because then I know that their day just got brightened a little bit. Right. And sometimes it's not even, gift giving. It is words of affirmation, I've gone by, just kind of walking around outside, seeing plenty of other people walking around outside. This whole getting steps in thing is a big deal, you know. And I've seen people sad. I've seen people, just kind of down in the dumps. And, I took the time just to say, hey, that outfit's working for you. Cool. Not in a creepy way. Just, and these are people by and large that I know, right, in my neighborhood and around my job and that kind of thing. And they, it puts a smile on their face. That's it. It puts a smile on their face real quick. It's nothing deep. It's just saying, hey, I know that you're having a bad day. Well, you got several things going for you. And whatever those things are, I'm so prone to laying them out. And people like that and actually react well to it. Needless to say, I'm not running up on, random lady or random guy one on the street saying, hey, man, you look handsome today. No, of course not. Man, that would kind of go over weird, wouldn't it?
Yes, depends on where you're at.
No, I think really it would just go over weird. But no, I try to brighten people's day. Quality time, spending time with the people I care about. I do that every week. And quality time for me is a big deal. That's one that I like to receive. I'm big on it because you don't know how much time you have with the people that you love, you know. And there's some people that I should probably make it a point to spend some more quality time with. Some of them are my family. I haven't spent as much time with them as I probably could have or should have. But either way, the point is that I like receiving it. Um, what's the one of the other ones? I think gift giving.
You did words of affirmation, acts of service.
Acts of service. Okay, so let's talk about that. Acts of service. Well, as a Christian, that's kind of our thing, right? It doesn't get you, into the kingdom. Acts of service doesn't get you into the kingdom, but acts of service does show people to where those that like receiving those acts of service, will kind of think more and more that you care about them because they see, they see that you see into them.
Well, and it just doesn't mean you go out and do something gigantic. Let's give as an example of you do a chore. So you do the dishes for one night, or you do the laundry for one weekend.
We were doing the laundry. You took it over.
Well, that's not. We're not discussing that tonight.
The
So,
laundry.
but yes, especially if they don't like doing the chore, that could be a very nice act of service.
No, we liked doing the laundry.
All right. So next,
Okay.
the other one is physical touch.
Physically touching the laundry?
Physical touch.
Oh, okay. Just saying. Okay. You just wanted to get your ring on camera, is it? Okay, no. She really meant physically touching the laundry. That's what she really meant. No, I'm kidding. No, physical touch. You're right. For me, that's my number one.
You really like that. Yeah.
Number one. And no, this is not about sexuality. Okay, maybe, but the idea is really, I like being in touch with my girl. I hug my friends. I hug my son. I want him to know that for as much as I'll knock his block off for being crazy or being disrespectful, which he isn't. He's not a disrespectful kid. He's actually very respectful. Yes, gave the boy manners, but he's, I let him know for as much as I'm willing to knock his block off for being disrespectful if there was. I hug on him 3 times as much. I want him to know that there's way more love inside of this body for him than there ever can be anger. And at the same time, I love receiving it because I don't know. I just relate to it well. I didn't get as much of that growing up, but maybe that's where it comes from. I wanted more of it. So, that's something that I react extremely well to. That actually disarms the heck out of me. But such is the way.
But I think the main thing to take away from this is if you read into this, look into it, your thoughts on it is your personal thoughts. It's whatever you want to do with it. But in the end, in my opinion, a healthy relationship should have boundaries. And like we said, you might react or give some of them better than others, but it should have every aspect of all 5 of these in your daily relationship.
Yep, exactly. Meaning you can be better at giving some than giving others, but still you should make the attempt to, figure out the best way to show love to your partner. And man, I hate that word. But as it applies, you really should try to figure out what they like most and do, but also temper it with the others because it's going to shift. Sometimes a person that loves words of affirmation may not want to talk to you that day. You might have ticked them off, or they might have had a rough day, and maybe a little gift might work. Or maybe you give gifts all the time. It's something that they don't, that they value a little less because they get it so often. Maybe they want those words, or maybe they want you to do something for them that you don't necessarily like doing, but they do all the time, and you're taking it off their plate when you decide to do it. Maybe physical touch. Maybe you haven't, come into contact with that individual as much as you possibly could have, and maybe you need to renew that bond in that way. I mean, there's a whole spectrum of these, but the idea behind it is practice them throughout the entirety of the relationship and be intentional about it. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, you do have to be intentional because if you're not, then eventually they all kind of just start falling to the wayside, and then it's just you're living with a roommate,
Yeah, and it's
and that's when I think relationships start falling apart. That may not be the main reason, but it doesn't help.
right. Well, that's our time. Uh,
This is the Practical Path. I'm Ashley,
and I am Pastor D.
and I hope you guys all have a good week.
That's right. We had a great episode 25. You guys have a great rest of your week and take care. God bless.